Hello everyone, today's video is about a broad spectrum detox. As per usual, nothing I'm saying should be construed as medical advice. This is for informational purposes only. If you need medical advice, please talk to your healthcare provider to get that advice. So someone posted a question on one of my other videos saying, do you recommend therapies such as coffee enemas, far infrared saunas, PEMF, which is pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, ionized foot baths, and B3 nicotinic acid? If someone were to incorporate these therapies, is there an order that they should be established? To clarify, the intention of this is to do a wide spectrum detox. Please feel free to add or remove therapies. And this question was from Ontario, Canada. So thank you for the question from a fellow Canadian. So it's a really, really great question. When it comes to detoxification, I think that some of the therapies that were listed are therapies that I do recommend for patients, and then there's other ones that I don't recommend on a regular basis. So we'll just kind of walk through them one at a time here, and then depending on how I'm doing for time, I will mention some of the other therapies that I might recommend myself or commonly recommend myself. So with coffee enemas, I don't recommend those to my patients really ever. I have, I understand the purpose of them or the intention behind them. I know that some folks do really well with them, and if a patient came in saying, hey, I'm doing coffee enemas and it's helping in X, Y, or Z way, then all the power to you. I mean, I think we have to be a little bit cautious with the frequency of the enemas, and as long as they're not causing a lot of side effects, then that's fine. But I don't recommend coffee enemas to my patients as a rule. I have recommended enemas for really tough cases of constipation. And I have recommended them to patients before, but I found that just the results in patients has not really been. I have not seen consistent results with them. So again, there are some doctors out there, other clinicians who recommend them regularly, talk about them being used and being very, very helpful. I just haven't seen it really make a big difference for a lot of my patients. And as a consequence, because it's a pretty big ask to ask patients to administer any type of enema, including a coffee enema, I don't really recommend them that regularly. If I had a patient who, and if I was to recommend it to a patient, and quite frankly, the ways that I've heard about them, I should say, be beneficial, is really more around mitigating Herxheimer reactions, maybe helping with mold detoxification, maybe as part of an overall, we're trying to intentionally get certain toxins and toxicants out of the body. So that would be the motivation. If I had a patient who just was kind of generally healthy, was like, oh, I want to do some regular detox support, I wouldn't really see coffee enemas as being a huge asset in that regard. Now, again, I know there's differing opinions about them, but that's just been my experience, and that's my opinion in general. But I'm not opposed to them. Just I don't recommend them myself at all. As far as infrared saunas go, I think saunas in general, well, maybe not all saunas, but I think far infrared saunas are good for general detox support. I think that other types of saunas, like dry heat saunas, steam saunas, I think really anything that gets the body really hot and sweaty is probably a good thing as long as it's well tolerated. If a patient is symptomatic, we have to be really mindful and I think cautious around making sure we're not saunaing too much, because if we mobilize too many toxins, that can really make a patient feel a lot worse. But sometimes saunas are really helpful. I don't prescribe them that often. We don't really have many facilities in my neck of the woods where saunas are available, and then when I'm treating patients here, there, and everywhere, I don't know what's in their neck of the woods. If I'm treating someone in Los Angeles, I'm sure there's probably sauna facilities there. I just don't know where. So it's just not something I recommend regularly. I have gone through some phases where I was recommending them more regularly to folks, but it's really more like if you have a sauna or easy access, then maybe we'll incorporate that. And I do think that they're good to have in the mix, but I think that I don't know that it's worth the expense and effort to say purchase a sauna or purchase access to a sauna unless it's already they already have a gym membership, or they already have really easy, convenient access. Again, I do think saunas are helpful, but it's not something that I use in my own life on a regular basis. When I go to the Nordic spa, a few times a year with my wife, yes, we use the saunas. We love it. We do lots of hydrotherapy and thermotherapy and whatnot, but it's not something I use regularly. Now, that being said, it is on my wish list to get a sauna. We just can't really, doesn't work in our current home. We're planning to move sometime in the next while in our neck of the woods. My local patients, I'm not moving far away, just looking to move into a different home that's a bit bigger. But eventually, I plan to get a sauna. I probably won't use it that regularly because I'm too busy, and I just don't feel a compelling need to use one on the regular. But I do think that saunas are a useful tool, and if folks have access, I think they're wonderful. PEMF therapy. So I've had a PEMF machine for many years now. I'm at least 10 years, probably closer to 12 years now. PEMF, I think, is wonderful technology, and it's something that I think could be really useful. The fact of the matter is there's a wide spectrum of PEMF machines that are out there. Some of them are very low powered, like you use them and you don't actually feel anything physical, and then there's higher, they, I believe, are working on a cellular level, and there is some research literature to back that up. But they're very subtle. The unit that we have, it's like a high-end, clinical unit, and when that thing's turned up, you really feel it, like right to your bones. It's an intense. If you turn it up a lot, it's very intense. We only turn it up to an intensity where you just kind of feel like some tingling, a bit of pulsing, that kind of thing. But it's a very strong unit. So with PEMF therapy, I think it's really cool. To be honest, I don't prescribe it that often because so many of my patients live far away. They can't come into the clinic that often to use it, and we just have so many tools and methods that we work with that it's an underutilized tool. That being said, it is part of a treatment combination I work with. Oh, I'm wondering why is my picture shifting here? I'm like, am I moving? No, my phone's just moving. There's a treatment we work with here at the clinic. It's called RTANS, regulation therapy for the autonomic nervous system. It's a combination of things like red and infrared light therapy, PEMF, acupuncture, something called arthrostim adjustments. And I think the PEMF it's a wonderful tool. I really can't vouch for how well the various home units work that are out there. Those home units are less expensive than the fancy pants on we have here, but still seems to be moving. Okay, hopefully that'll work. So I can vouch for the PEMF, clinical grade unit we have here. I just honestly don't know how well the more subtle ones work. Again, research literature indicates that they are doing something, but sorry, this phone just keeps on moving for some reason. I can't really vouch for how well those home units work. So I think it's great technology, but and I can say it's good, but I just don't know about the home unit specifically. So ionic foot detox. So that's something I don't have much clinical experience with. I have a few patients who use them, like that have bought their own units for home use, and they seem to work really well for some folks. I've had some patients who use them. They say, man, they really help a lot. And then I've had other patients where they have not really seen any significant difference. My understanding, like one of my mentors, Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, brilliant medical doctor, he's probably talked about ionic foot detox the most, and my understanding from some of his lectures he's given on this topic, that he has tested a bunch of different units, and some of them have worked really well, and some of them don't do a blessed thing. So I think the quality is very important to bear in mind, or I should say the technology is important to bear in mind. The one that I seem to recall him advocating, and I don't speak for Dr. Klinghardt, but this is just my recollection, is there's a company called A Major Difference, AMD, and that was the one that he was saying seemed to be the best one. So if I was going to invest in an ionic foot detox myself, that's the company that I would pursue, but I really don't have much experience with those. And that's all. I'll leave it there, I suppose. And then the last one was about B3/nicotinic acid, also known as niacin. Also known as the type of B3 that causes people to flush. So this is an interesting one. Also not something that I use in practice. I have prescribed flushing niacin in the past for folks to help with their high cholesterol levels. I am aware of folks using flushing niacin to help with detox, the idea being that you're vasodilating, helping to flush things out. There's also some biochemical pathways that niacin works on as well internally. But niacin flushes are really, really unpleasant, and it's just not something that I've inflicted upon my patients. So if anybody listening to the video has done niacin flushing as part of their detox or something else, please feel free to comment. Maybe maybe my patients are missing out on this because I'm not recommending it, but it's not something that I recommend on the regular. I'll probably post a follow-up video at some point about the types of detox supports that I usually recommend. Otherwise, if you wouldn't mind, please taking a quick moment to like, share, subscribe, and or post a quick comment on the video. I would really appreciate it, and I'll leave it there for now.